We will see the continuation of the poem, children. The poetic lines are given here and I have given the explanation of these lines here. Now, the first line is, whose woods these are, I think I know. The first line starts like here. I have given the explanation as such. The poet seems to know the owner of the woods. This is the explanation for the first line. His house is in the village, I know. The owner must be residing in the village. The poet feels that the owner of the woods must be residing in the village nearby. The third line, he will not see me stopping here. He does not know the poet has stopped in his woods. That he will not see me, he means the owner of the woods. He will not, he does not know the poet has stopped in his woods. That is the meaning for those lines. To watch his woods fill up with snow. Look at this line. To watch the snow covering the woods, engulfing, covering, engulfing the woods. The snow was completely covering the whole ground as well as the bare trees were having snow puffs on top of it. There were no leaves, nothing, everything barren. Only thing you can find is the snow was falling heavily. That is the line. To watch its woods fill up with snow. To watch the snow covering the woods. My little horse must think it pure. So, he just brings now the horse here. He is travelling in the horse and he stops there. He gets down and he watches the woods completely filled with snow. My little horse must think it pure. Pure means strange. Again I repeat, pure means strange. The poet's horse must have thought it strange. So, the poet's horse is standing there and suddenly the poet gets down from the horse and he stands there and looks around. This made the horse think very strange, why my owner is standing in the middle of the woods in this heavy dark evening where the snow is falling. Heavy snowfall is there. Why must this man must get down from me and he is watching. He has a strange thought. That is why cure is strange. To stop without a farmhouse near. To stop abruptly where there is no farmhouse. He thinks usually all the woods will have a small hut like farmhouse where the persons will go and take rest. If it is an owner of the woods, he will just go round the complete woods and after a while he will go inside the farmhouse and he will take rest. Here he thinks, the horse thinks, why this man is getting down, there is no reason why he should stop in the middle of the woods, and he thinks why there is no farm. The horse is very intelligent. Now it says to stop without a farmhouse nearby. So, the horse must be used to all this journey through the woods. That is the main reason. That is what Robert Frost wants to give importance to the horse. You can very well understand. He is personified here as a human being. So, given the human qualities, to stop without a farmhouse near. So, he says to stop abruptly where there is no farmhouse. Why my master is standing here? If he wants to take rest, he can go and take rest, but there is no farmhouse in the woods. Why should he get down and stand here? He was thinking, the horse was thinking. Between the woods and frozen lake. The poet is standing between the frozen lake where it is covered. The lake is completely with ice sheets. Frozen means completely solidified ice that is covered the water and it is completely in a frozen state. Between the woods and frozen lake. The lines here, you have to understand, between the woods and the lake being frozen. The poet is standing. We can take this like this, between the woods and frozen lake. Between the woods and the lake being frozen, the poet is standing. Why he is standing in between these two places? He is standing in the middle watching the frozen lake as well as the land is covered with completely, the ground is covered with snow. He gives the darkest evening of the year. The next line is the darkest evening of the year. So, The poet here brings, that must be the darkest, already it was night time. Since the snow was falling heavily, there was no light, I repeatedly say that, the darkest evening. So, here we find that on an evening which happens to be the darkest one of the year, on an evening which happens to be of the year. Have you understood, children? So far you have understood the lines. I have given the explanation very clearly. Now you have to take down in your classwork and write, so that you can understand the lines connecting the answers. This poem is very easy. When you read the poem, you can ask, unless it is in a prose style only, not very difficult words, very easy to understand. So you read the lines and afterwards you see the meanings for the poem. He gives his hardness bell. This line is very important. He gives his harness bell a shake. See here, this line thoroughly gives an explanation. He here already I told you it's the horse. He did not say, the poet did not mention the horse as it, but he said he. So this is personified. He gives the horse. The line for this is, the horse expresses his surprise by shaking his harness bell. The harness is where it is strapped, the horse is strapped to the carriage. That is what here the poet mentioned. Harness means the strap that is connecting to his neck as well as his mouth, that is known as harness, and round that you have that belt where the bell hangs. Then it shakes his head and you find it gives a harness bell a shake. That is what the poet wants to say. Here these lines, my little horse must think it cure, is one personification here. He gives his harness bells a shake is another personified sentence here. So, we find the first personified sentence in this poem. The poetic device comes here as such. To ask if there is any mistake. You just take the book and follow the lines. I am giving the explanation for those lines. If you have the book, you can see the lines from the book and I am giving the explanation for these lines. As if to know whether anything is wrong. That horse thinks if there is anything wrong with the situation. He has a very strange thought, why my master is standing here, he is not proceeding his journey. So, he thinks any bad situation is going to occur. He has sensed something, that is why he has stopped in the wood. This horse is thinking very straight, it has some strange ideas why this man is standing in the middle of the woods. That is the to ask if there is any mistake. The horse thinks if there is any wrong thing with the anything wrong with the situation. Here I have left thing. Anything wrong with the situation. The only other sounds that sweep The only other sound that he could hear was the falling of the snowflakes. I have written everything, copied down very clearly. You have to copy this down in a separate book so that you can understand the poem very clearly. See that you by heart this poem thoroughly. It's a very important poem, and you write these lines. As I have written the lines for each poetic line, I have given the meaning for those lines. Write this in your book. The only other sound is the sweep. The sweep means the blowing of the chilly wind, that is known as the sweep. The poet is standing there, he can hear the soft wind blowing across the wood, sweep. The only other sound is the sweep of easy wind. The next line follows, the easy wind and downy flakes. So, the gentle breeze, if it is only a gentle breeze, here he says wind, the blowing of the breeze and the fall of snowflakes, that is known as downy, very soft. That downy means very soft, downy, easy wind. Can you understand, children? So, downy, the snowflake is falling, it could not be heard, it is very soft. So, he could hear only the sound of all this in the wood. No birds chirp, no birds twitter, no rustle of the leaves, nothing could be heard, only easy wind and downy flakes. Can you understand, children? The woods are lovely, again the last 4 lines are very important. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. The woods are very attractive to the poet, very dark and dense. A thick forest is known as a dense forest. So, he loves that atmosphere. Robert Frost likes this atmosphere very much. He wants to stand and stand and stand. There is nothing to admire in that woods, but even then the poet wants to stand there and feel the complete quietness of the atmosphere. He wants to dwell there and feel the quietness of the whole atmosphere in the wood. That is what the poet highlights in his poem here. Now, the last 4 lines are very important. Why I say means the last 2 lines are the repetition of the lines. I told you already, personification is my little horse must think it cure. He gives his harness bells a shake. 2 lines are personified here. Poetic device is that. Then we come to the last 4 lines. A repetition of the lines are, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. That is known as anaphora or repetition. Like when you come to 10th standard, we will go in detail about anaphora. Anaphora means repetition of the lines. How beautiful these woods are, how handsome this boy. When you get the lines like this, how, where. So, these are known as repetition in the poem. That is known as one poetic device, repetition of the lines. But I have promises to be. What promises a poet can keep? He says, though I want to stay here for a long time, I cannot because I have some pressing duties and responsibilities that I must travel on my journey and reach my destination, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Another line stresses in another word is that the poet, before he could go to sleep, until his death. Before his death, he wants to complete everything for the others and for himself, the responsibilities that he has got, everything. So, these lines are very beautiful. You have to understand and write the explanation for these lines in a separate book, and when you come to school, you have to try to understand and write this in the examination. Now, we are able to understand this, children. Now, we go on to the next one. I told you already the appreciation. Now, we will write the alliterated words. Shall I rub the board, children? Now, I taught you about the rhyme scheme and the rhyming words. The other poetic devices we will see, children. First one is alliteration. His house. H, H. Already I told you that these alliterated words will occur only in consonant sounds. No vowel word will be used for alliteration. His, H. It is a consonant word. So, you consonant letter here, and then we have C. Underline the first word, stopping. All these are consonant letters. Then we have watch, W, woods, W, a consonant letter. Again harness, his, H, H. These are the alliterated words. Underline the first consonant letter. This is the first poetic device you are learning. Next one, we have the personification. I already told you this in 8th standard, how the lines will be personified given human qualities for a non-living thing. Now, the horse is a living thing, but it is given a human quality. The poet wants to highlight the horse as a human being. So, here we find my little horse. Those lines are personified. He gives his harness bells a shake. He, his, personified. These two lines are personified here. Another poetic device is imagery. Imagery. Easy winds and downy flakes. When a poet brings his imagination, he can paint anything. For example, my little horse. Little is imagery. It is not a little horse. His imagination is little horse says his little horse is here as imagery. Now, he has mentioned this as easy winds, very gentle blowing winds, easy winds. He gives that winds imagery, easy winds. Downy flakes, soft flakes, snowflakes falling, soft to touch. Which is very soft? Cotton balls are soft. All the things that you touch is known as downy, that is soft. Usually we compare this soft to snowflakes, very soft like cotton puffs. So, he uses this word easy winds and downy flakes. Downy and easy are imagery, that is the nouns are given a more colorful word to emphasize in the poem, to attract. When the readers read the poem, they are getting attracted by these two words, easy winds and downy flakes. So, you have to understand very clearly what are the poetic devices in this poem and also personification in imagery. If at all he has given these lines, you have to write personification. If he has given this line, you have to write imagery. Then you have the repetition of lines. This is one poetic device. Miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. This is one poetic device. Sometimes the poet repeats these lines, miles to go before I sleep. These two lines are repeated in the poem, so that is known as repetition of the lines. That is one poetic device you are learning for the first time. Already I have learned simile, metaphor, All these you have learned, but here another one is introduced here is repetition of the lines in the poem. It is one kind of poetic device. Now you are able to follow this, children. Am I clear? Have you understood the poem clearly? Whether you are able to understand this very clearly, read the poem for yourself. Four lines. Read the poem. You pick out the rhyming words, you pick out the rhyme scheme, then you find out the alliterated words, and then you find the personification, imagery and repetition. So, if you are thorough with this, you can easily tackle the question paper. Read the lines thoroughly, that is what. Then we go on to the appreciation of the poem, where 2 lines will be given. Already we have done that in 8th standard. That will be easy for you. The answer will be found in those 2 lines itself. You can easily pick out. If you understand the poem clearly and if you know the substance of the poem clearly, you can easily pick out the answer for the appreciation of the poem. Now, the appreciation of the poem is, whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village though. What does the poem seem to know? The poet seems to know the person to whom the woods belong. The poet knows the owner of the woods. That is what is mentioned here. Who lives in the village? The owner of the woods lives in the village. He is not here in the woods. He doesn't have a farmhouse. That is what the meaning here is. He doesn't have a farmhouse. He is far away from the woods and he is living somewhere nearby a village. Between the woods and frozen lake, where has the horse stopped? The horse has stopped between the frozen lake and the snow covered woods. Describe the evening of travel. It was the darkest evening of the year. Describe the journey the poet makes through the wood. What was the time? What was the climate, they will ask. It was winter. What was the season? Or what season or climate, anything they may ask. So you have to write, it's winter and it was the darkest evening, very dark. It was going to become night. So the darkest evening of the year. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promised. What sound does the poet hear? The poet hears the sounds caused by the horse shaking his harness. Nothing else he could hear. He could not hear anything in the woods. Only the horse is shaking his bells. Only that sound the poet could hear. Next one, bring out the alliteration in the 3rd line. Here you have to understand dark and deep. These are the alliterated words. Dark, deep. These are the words mentioned here. Put a column and write the first stanza as rhyme scheme as A, B, A, first stanza. Second stanza is A, B, A. Third stanza also A, B, A. Fourth stanza is A. So you have to understand how it goes on. The rhyme scheme goes on like that. First stanza, second. You cannot expect all the stanzas to be the same. But you have to read the lines and find out what is the rhyme scheme towards the end of the line. And if the words rhyme together, fear, near, cure, all these are rhyming words. Apart from that, when you get an odd word like smile, it doesn't come under the word A. It becomes B. So that is how you have to form in mind how to find out the rhyme scheme. Rhyming words you know very well. What all it rhymes, those words will go together. The odd one will come out. Now, poetic device I taught you, rhyme scheme I taught you, rhyming words I taught you. Now you have to make all this, you have to write all this in your classwork notebook. Keep it ready because you are not going to face the trimester. This is not a 3rd term book. The whole book will be for you for the annual examination. So start preparing this poem very, very thoroughly so that you can keep on revising which has been dated. Up to date, we teach whatever we teach every day. You have to keep it in mind and revise for your exams. Can you understand, children, very clearly? Now we go on to the Prose lesson, learning the game. Now I start with prose. Why I started poem? Because poems will be very easy for you to understand. The first thing I didn't want to get, I don't want you to get confused. First we will take the easy ones. The memory poem will be easy for you to memorize, as well as we can easily go through everything in poem. Very short, and it will be very easy for you to understand. That's why I took poem first, and that too the famous poem of Robert Frost, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Now we go on to the first unit of the prose, learning the game. This is by Sachin Tendulkar. You all know the famous cricketer who has won laurels and awards and so many titles from the government he has been given, and everybody likes him very much, Sachin Tendulkar. Now we will see what is this man about the author. The retired Indian cricket player Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, the whole name is Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, is considered as one of the greatest batsmen of all times. This is the word he gives. He is still living. He is the greatest batsman of all times. He was born on November 24th April 1973 in Mumbai. He was introduced to cricket at the age of 11 by his brother Ajit Tendulkar. When he was only 11 years old, he started to play cricket. He had a passion to become a cricketer. So on the streets of Mumbai, he started to play with his friends. By that, he slowly picked up his vigor and enthusiasm. He had a love for the game, and he started working vigorously to become a great cricketer in the world. In 2005, he became the first cricketer to score 35 centuries, 100 runs in a single inning. So he was able to score 35 centuries in 2005 in one single inning in test plays. In 2011, Tendulkar achieved his dream of winning the Cricket World Cup at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. So he was able to achieve his dream by winning the Cricket World Cup. That means throughout the world, all the countries will participate. 2011, he took the World Cup and he became very famous after that. He is the only player to have scored 100 international centuries and the first to score double century in a one-day international. These are about the cricketer, and his complete biography is given here. He played 664 international cricket matches in total, scoring 34,357 runs. In 2012, Tendulkar was nominated to the Rajya Sabha. So see how importance this man was given by the country to honor him. He became a member of the Rajya Sabha. He retired from cricket on 16th November 2013. He is also the recipient of the Arjuna Award. The first recipient of the Arjuna Award in the cricket is Tendulkar. Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award 1997, Padma Shri 1999, Padma Vibhushan 2008 and Bharat Ratna. All these awards were showered on him by the Indian government for his excellence in cricket. Now we see here, learning the game is an extract from Sachin Tendulkar's autobiography. He has written an autobiography about himself, playing it my way. In his way, he has written this, how he started his cricket as a career. He played tennis ball cricket with his colony friends. I told you, at the age of 11, he was living in the crowded streets of Mumbai. He had his own colony friends and he started the game on the streets of Mumbai.